Blog Talk Radio.
Across the country and around the world, streaming live on the internet, it's Real Estate Coaching Radio, bringing you the latest news, interviews, and secrets of the top producers. Hosted by award-winning real estate coaches, Tim and Julie Harris. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Tim Ventura, filling in for Tim and Julie Harris. Welcome to Casual Friday on Real Estate Coaching Radio. Now, this week we're going to be continuing our discussion of real estate transaction management, and we're going to be joined by Randy Tobbe from the software company RealtyCommander to describe what makes his system a great choice for managing those transactions. We like RealtyCommander because their software handles both short sales and traditional buyer-seller transactions, and they've been gracious enough to give us an overview of why this software is so important. So if you want to find out for yourself, visit them online at RealtyCommander.com. Now, today's show is a live show, and our call-in number is 347-857-1195, or write me at questions@realestatecoachingradio.com. Also, if you want to schedule a free coaching call, I am on the roster, hiding at the very bottom of the page at freecoachingcallsforagents.com. But I'll tell you, the people that you really want to schedule a call with are Tim and Julie, and they are on that page, along with Rochelle as well. Trust me, these folks are the real deal, and they will get you on track. Okay, so let's get to it. We're joined by Randy Tobbe, our special guest today from RealtyCommander, and I'm probably not pronouncing that right, so let me bring him on so he can correct me if he needs to. Okay, Randy, can you hear me okay?
I sure can.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us. I sincerely appreciate your, giving us a walkthrough of the product. Now, was I pronouncing your name correctly? Is it Tobbe or? It's
actually Tobbe, but that's okay, Tim.
Tobbe. I'm sorry about that. Well, let's get right into it. I was up late last night drafting a bunch of questions to really kind of showcase what makes RealtyCommander special. And again, this is a product that we like at Tim and Julie Harris Real Estate Coaching because it does short sales as well as traditional transactions. But let me start out with the basics. You're one of the founding employees, as I understand things, of the company. And so let me ask how RealtyCommander got started and then how you got involved with the company.
Sure. So RealtyCommander originally actually started out as Short Sale Commander. And we noticed, we're actually based out of Michigan, and we were one of the first markets to really, get hit during the, Great Recession, they say. So, being manufacturer-based, it really was just a trigger point with job loss and things like that. So short sales became very predominant in the Michigan market. At which point we were, helping the short sale process, and we were basically assisting in some of the negotiations, at which point we realized, well, there's just a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of communication, there's a lot of things that go into processing a short sale, far more than a traditional file. I mean, anybody out there who's done a short sale knows that, there's a lot of back and forth. You're dealing with the banks, they're not cooperating, keeping everybody on the same page, and it's a very lengthy process. So, when you have dozens of those goings, really knowing what's going on in real time it was a real challenge. So what we did is we actually created a little program for internal purposes, at which point we used, and we were able to scale our business pretty quickly. And from there, agents and brokers were really curious. They were like, how are you guys able to manage so many files? So we showed them the little system that we created. It was not nearly what it is today. And everybody was like, hey, we want that, right? So a little light bulb goes off, and we really just started ramping up and building out the product more and more and more. And we kind of got this almost like cult-like following where people were just referring us. I mean, we weren't marketing it or anything else like that, and there wasn't another program out there, so we were the first ones in the space. And, as the years have progressed on, our agents they loved it for their short sale business. I mean, it's really probably the most powerful tool. But our agents were diversified. They were handling traditional files, regular listings. They were handling buyers. So they said, listen, if we could do everything in one system, we would absolutely love it. So again, the light bulb goes off. We continue developing, and we don't develop our product based upon our customers or based upon our needs. We do our developing based upon our customers' needs. So, we basically pool and we talk to, beginning agents, experienced agents, brokers, and we give them what they need, right, to make them successful. So, that's kind of the quick backstory of how it is and how we've gotten to where we have today.
Sure. Well, I sincerely appreciate it. The story about the foreclosure crisis being the start of it, that's particularly interesting to me because, as I've mentioned before on the show, I started a little company called the BPO Automation Group at the same time with my partner, Nicole Ocean. And it was a similar experience. Back then, I think that people were so desperate for solutions to this incredible change that the market had gone through, that it really was this word-of-mouth, cult-like following. And when you'd said that, it really caught me. And I know that, Tim and Julie had said that as well. When they were describing, again, the Short Sale Commander to me, they'd said, it's just this great program, and it really, a lot of people love it, a lot of our students love it, and that was what got us into it. So it's interesting to hear you talk about that. Now, was that kind of chaotic when you guys started out because there was so much change and so many people just kind of coming in the doors asking for help?
Yeah, it was really surprising, but we didn't really, I guess we didn't care because it was helping so many people, right? It was helping agents who were getting into the business on the short sale side. It was helping homeowners. It was helping everybody. So it was challenging, but we were willing to embrace that challenge, and we wanted to solve the problem for them. And the fact that we were just able to help so many people, we did whatever it took to continue the progress and to better our product just because of the outcome. I mean, we just heard so many success stories over the years, and we've seen people go from 2 or 3 files to 30, 40, 50, far succeeding their goals. And that's what makes us go, So it was overwhelming, but, it was really a good feeling to have that we were helping out so many people and, basically filling the gap as far as products that were needed.
Okay. Well, I guess my next question here, it looks like you've already kind of answered a little bit, is obviously because you came out of the short sale arena, that was where you guys started, and then you've moved into the more traditional buyer and seller transactions. I'm wondering if you could tell me a little bit about how the platform handles these, or maybe as much as you could describe without somebody actually using it.
Sure. So, again, starting with the short sale side of things, right, there's a lot more, and anybody on today's call can agree with me here, there's a lot more stuff going on in a short sale file than there is in a traditional file, right? So it really wasn't hard for us to adapt and create additional file types since we had already built the foundation. Right, so what we've done is when you go into the system, you're able to add a file type. So whether you have a buyer, you can add a buyer. If you have a traditional file, you can add a traditional file. If you have a short sale, you can add a short sale right there. So it's really easy, basically, to go in. You're just creating the file type. So we had already built that foundation, but what we've done is we've just tailored each file type to be relevant to that file. Right, so everything in the buyer file is relative to the way a buyer's agent works and what has to happen, and that goes true with a traditional file as well. So it was a really easy transition. It was just making sure and working with our clients that it was exactly what they needed when they were handling those different file types. And for the agents that are diversified, it was perfect.
Okay. Well, now that you've kind of moved into this traditional arena, I guess, there's more competition out there. There are several real estate transaction management systems that have kind of emerged. And I guess that one thing I'd want to know is, for folks listening to this, why should they choose RealtyCommander, with different options that are out there that they're looking at? What are the features, in addition to that strength in the short sale arena? If maybe they're focused now on traditional sales, like more agents are, what's going to drive them towards RealtyCommander as the platform of choice?
Sure. There's a lot of programs out there that claim to be transaction management when in actuality they're not. They're more on a CRM side, or they're more on a marketing side where you can put some notes in and things like that. So first and foremost, there's only a few actually that are out there that I would consider good transaction management systems. Us kind of being a pioneer in the space, I think that we develop our features a lot. We actually develop and release our features a lot quicker than a lot of other companies that are out there, and we're able to basically pivot in that approach to tailor the product more and more as the market evolves into the product that's going to help them with all their transaction needs. But we don't focus on the marketing aspect, right? There's a million programs out there for that. We solely focus on the transaction management. So when a hot lead comes in, regardless of the file type, you're able to work that file from lead nutrition through active, through pending, through closing, all the way through, at the same time keeping all parties involved with what's going on. So it's tracking the who, did, what, why, where, when, keeping everybody on the same page and keeping everybody far more organized. So, from little things like email tracking, right? I don't see this in any other program that's out there. When you send an email out of Commander, that's being logged in that file specifically. We're not giving you a new email or anything like that, but the fact that you don't have to go to your Outlook or your Gmail in order to see, all the emails that have been sent for Sally Sellers on 123 Main Street is a really cool way, right? And then when Sally Sellers responds to you, it's all there filed already, right? So you don't have to create additional folders in your Gmails and your different email applications. So everything is really critiqued as far as being specific to that file, right? So again, having a foundational type tool, this is another differentiator between us and some of the other companies that are out there is we give you a foundational tool, right? We're giving you a car that can drive 200 miles an hour, but in essence, you don't necessarily have to drive it 200 miles an hour. So you can go in and you can customize the system how you run your business. I've yet to find two agents or two brokers who run their business the same way. So we have to be really flexible the way that we allow you guys to create the system. So we give you baselines, right? And from there you can customize your own policies and procedures, so your task management, your file progress, all of that is customizable based upon the agent or the broker, the assistant, or whomever's using the system. So it's a really dynamic way to run or use our system, but have it run the way that you as agents and brokers run your business, right? So the flexibility of it is far more superior than other programs that are out there, as well as sorting, searching, reporting capabilities. Our system is really robust when it comes to that stuff, so you can literally narrow down searches and reports based upon just about any piece of information that's put into the system for easy navigation.
Well, the baselines is interesting too, and I think that's something that's really important. This isn't real estate specific, but I've seen other transaction management systems in other industries where, the product is sold as an out of the box, but when you actually get into it, there's nothing there. You have to set up all the workflow yourself. And so what you're saying is the default workflow, the workflow that's pretty common to everybody, that's already there, and then people can customize that as need be, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. There's anybody on the call today, they understand that real estate transactions are very much the same, right? Especially after you've done a handful, working with buyers and sellers and things like that. The same type of things happen for every transaction. Now, there are fires that come up. I get that. But if you can figure out a way to systematize your real estate business, right, utilizing Commander, basically you're putting in something in one end and getting a finished product out the other, right? So you're basically creating that automation, right, that duplicatable process to improve your overall results. So you're able to do more faster. You're able to hire more people to manage the stuff that is keeping you agents busy and not allowing you to go out there and do what you do best, which is working with new clients and attending closings.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of that stuff that, I want to come back to that in a few minutes. But let me go back here to the fact that you guys did, because you came up a little bit earlier than a lot of these other, transaction management systems that are now emerging. Is it okay to ask how many users you have in the system now? And I know that's something that a lot of companies don't share, but the impression that I get is that you're a little bit larger than some of the other, new companies emerging in that space.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm not going to water it down. I'm not going to claim to say that we have, hundreds of thousands of people or, tens of thousands of people, when a lot of companies count like email addresses as actual users of a product, right? Or there's a freemium model, a free model out there that people could go in, and a lot of competitors count that as their customers. I'm going to tell you, paying customers, right? How many actual customers that we have? We're looking at around 7,500 paying customers. Now, those could be brokers that have a 10-user license, so the number could obviously go up from there, to our individual agents. So, we count our users as who is the users, not individuals on top of that. So, for an example, we count one user, a broker, but he might have 5 logins for his agents. So we've got a lot of great clients out there and a lot of high-performing agents and people who've really just exploded their business.
Well, and with that number of users also, I think it's important, and again, as someone coming out of the software industry, I mean, you guys have time under your belt. You have an established user base. It's a large user base. And so you've had to iron out a lot of these issues. Like I think one of them is support, right? You've described to me in the past how you guys have focused on providing superior support. And I think that those play into driving that, right? Where, these newer platforms that are coming may or may not be good in one area or another, but, it's that length of experience and having that user base that drives a lot of stuff like being able to provide that support.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, anybody... Yeah, customer support is key with us. You hear so many horror stories, and we've all experienced this. You try to call somebody, and you're in a queue, and you're in a round robin, and you're talking to people who don't know what's going on. When you call here, or when you call our office, we answer our phones. We call our customers back, and we literally probably get hundreds of referrals a month just because of that. Our customers love the fact that they can call and they can say, hey, is Randy there, or is Josh there, is Eric there, or is Tammy there? Whomever is there, you can get in touch with us pretty easy, and if we're on the phone, we call you back. We don't think it's acceptable not to answer our phones, let everything go into a queue, or keep it all just in emails and chat, right? So we enjoy the human interaction, and we're pretty proud to say that we have a great customer support, whether it's technical or training.
Oh, okay, yeah, and that's kind of what I understood for it. Now, in terms of cost, is that something that you're able to talk about a little bit on the call? I mean, what do you think an average agent could expect to pay?
Right. So you got to think about, cost and value, right? Like, value is created when it's doing something for you, right? Is it saving you time? Is it making you more money? Is it freeing up time for you to go spend with your kids? Is it freeing up time to focus on what it is that you do? So we keep our product very affordable. How we sell our product is regardless to how many files you have, how many documents you have in the system, how many guest access users, so, your sellers, your buyers, that's all unlimited. So all you're paying for as an individual is a 2-user license, which comes in at $49 a month, right? So you're paying about $500 over the course of a year, right? So we're looking at, that $500 over the course of a month, but our goal is if we can save you just a couple hours a week, right? Let's just say we start off saving you 2 hours a week, right? That equates to over a 5-day work week, a little over 250 hours of work, right? So if we can save you 250 hours worth of work, what is that value? If you can close 1 more deal or 2 more deals or 5 more deals a year at an average of $2,000 commission or $5,000 commission, I mean, the cost saving is just a fraction. So, I mean, to have an entire transaction management system from documents and tasking and everything in one place, that you don't have to go out there and recreate the wheel for $500 a year, I think that's a pretty good deal. And our customers say that they would pay 2 or 3 times that. But for the agents that are just getting into the business, they got leads, they got all kinds of other things going on. So we want to keep it affordable. We don't want to price them out of the market. At the same time, we don't think that we should take advantage of organizations that have a lot of people and charge them twice as much. So baseline product, we've never changed our pricing. It has always been $49 for a 2-user license right out of the gate.
I just had a couple of questions. I want to say thank you to our listeners for sending in questions. I've had 2 so far come in through email. The first one is about the onboarding process. They wanted to know, if you could describe, what it's like for a new user to come on board, how long it takes them to get started, stuff like that. So let me start out by asking you that.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, when you sign up for Commander, the very first thing that you're going to see when you log in is a video library. There's a 20-minute video that'll get you guys started. One thing that we absolutely did when developing our product is we had to make sure that it was user-friendly, right? We didn't need some complex system that you need a PhD to figure out how to use, right? And that is one of our big focuses when developing, and that's keeping it super user-friendly. Click, point, tab, right, whatever. So the use of it is super easy. So with that video library that's there, it's pretty quick to get going. Secondly, we do absolutely train all of our customers, right? So we are constantly reaching out to them, making sure that every question that they have, that they're getting files into the system, and our customers can obviously schedule time with us where we can train them as individuals, we can train their staff, their offices, whatever. I promise you this, you spend an hour on the phone with us, at the most, you will be able to use our system to about 95% of its full capability.
Wonderful. Well, that ties into kind of the next question here. This person was asking about production, how much production they should have to really get the most benefit from the system. And I think that ties back on to onboarding, because with a lot of the software tools that I've used, what I run into is I've already got work that I have to get done. I've got this enormous schedule laid out for my day, or sometimes even the week. And then the issue is, okay, I have to learn this new tool. And so I guess this would be kind of, this dovetails in there. What production level should agents really be at to get the most benefit from this system?
Sure. I mean, I have clients who start off using our system with 2 deals, and one of my recent clients, who's a pretty big guy down in Florida, I was blown away by him. He has about a 5-person team, and he was able to upload about 115 files in a matter of 4 days. And he's got his entire past workload inputted into the system, and he's moving everything forward. So it's really up to the agent or the individual as far as where they want to start. We have some people who say, for all of our new leads and new listings and everything from today forward, we're going to start using the system for everything. We're going to finish out the old stuff that we have. We're going to get going fresh from the beginning. Then we have the ones that are like, listen, I'm using 16 different pieces of information from Excel to this and Dropbox and all these other places. Like, I need to simplify my life. And, just like this gentleman that I'm speaking of, Dan, he did, he put it all in there, literally. I mean, he just committed to the success of the system and got going with it. And like I said, he's got a little bit of a team there, but the fact that he uploaded so many files into the system so quickly was it was awesome to see. It really was. So it doesn't really make a difference. I think if you got a couple deals, great. If you got a lot of deals, even better. But you need to start off, right? You have to have a system to scale your business, period. If you were going to try to, manufacture wheels or something, you wouldn't go in trying to remake it every time differently, right, or just off the top of your head. You would basically put it into a process. Therefore, you can get duplicatable results, and you can ramp up your business without you being engulfed in everything that's going on, right? Automate this. For some odd reason, a lot of agents just they haven't yet automated their system when this business really can be automated. I've seen it. I watch agents from doing 10 deals a year. In a matter of a year, they're doing 30 or 40, and I love those success stories. So no matter how big, how small you are, it's really easy to get going. It's just a matter of what you want to commit to.
Okay. Well, thank you. Now, I just had a question come in. I want to thank Steve for emailing this in, and he said that he's using Top Producer. Does Top Producer do any of this?
No, and I'll be pretty clear about that. So the Top Producer is a CRM, a great marketing tool. They've been around for a long time, right? They have some places where you can put some notes and you can do some tasks, right? No doubt about it. But when it comes to an all-encompassing transaction management, this is what we focus on, just the transaction management. So from, like I said, lead nutrition, hot lead, through active, through pending, through closing, and everything in between, who's doing what, why, where, when. There's a full audit trail there. That is not done in Top Producer, right? Arizona Association of Realtors is kind of a pioneer when it comes to regulating their audit trails as far as what is compliant and what isn't. And our system was actually one of the systems that was selected by them as being 100% fully compliant and actually above and beyond, where everything is being documented, who did what, why, where, when. I keep reiterating that. That's important, right? If you're doing a lot of files, you want to know what's going on at all times, but you don't want to have to keep it, on a yellow scrapbook of paper or in your mind. So, there are some things that Top Producer can do. They have a great marketing system, but when it comes to transaction management, no. I would say probably it does not do a good enough job at all.
Yeah. Now, that question actually tied back into my notes here. It looks like for folks who are looking at getting into a CRM, right, customer relationship management, and I touched on this in last week's show, folks who are looking at getting into that can actually use contactually CRM, and they can integrate that with RealtyCommander, right?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, we focus on transaction management, right? So your deals that are going, your hot leads, the tasking, everything that's going on with your actual deals that are making money or about to yield or whatever. Contactually is more on the CRM side, right? So they're actually pretty cool. I mean, the way that they pull all the databases, everybody has all these different contacts in all these different places, your Google, your iPhone, right, your Facebook. Contactually basically takes all of those contacts, pulls it into one CRM, right? At that point, you can put all of these people into these certain buckets, right, and you can market to them. And from there, it gives you a grade. It ensures that you follow up with X amount of customers per week, per day, and then you're graded on that. So they're doing some things that are pretty revolutionary in the industry, where they're taking the CRM to a whole nother level, right? They're making sure that your customers are being, emailed. They're grading you, and they're, again, ensuring that you contact these people, You get so many referrals from past business, and so many agents forget about that, or they just think that just sending them an email is going to do that, when contactually will say, hey, give them a call every 3 months or every 6 months, and it will remind you to do that. So it's basically a hybrid CRM, and it's pretty cool what they're doing over there.
Okay. So to drill down on this a little bit, then, basically, when you're talking about marketing, you're talking about that front end of kind of getting that deal started. Then you're in the CRM, right? Your follow up, your marketing, stuff like that. And then once that deal is in progress, once they're an established lead, then you move them over to RealtyCommander, and you can do the workflow all the way through to the close of transaction.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Tim. I mean, there's so many programs out there, and agents are just awesome at the marketing that they're doing. Facebook and the Zillow leads, and their website lead generation and things like that. So, there's all these different marketing programs out there, right? But there's very few transaction managements, like how you're making money, right? There's plenty of stuff to figure out to generate leads, but not a whole lot about how to make money, whereas that's really what we focus on. So Contactually just does a really good job of sorting those buckets down, getting the qualified people, and then dumping that bucket into Commander pretty easily.
Okay. And then, and the comparison, again, this goes back to Steve's question about top producer. So your top producer would be more along the lines of Contactually, where it's on the marketing end of things, and you can do notes and follow-up and stuff like that. But when it comes to actually doing the deal, that is where RealtyCommander shines.
Exactly. Yeah, that's 100% accurate. A lot of great CRM programs out there. I personally like companies that are a little bit more progressive, that are really trying to make things easier on people and not make their lives more complicated. Like you said earlier, I have to learn a whole new system. So that's one of the cool things that I like about Contactually.
Well, one thing, I'd like to get into the workflow part of this a little bit more. Now, one of the things I was wondering is, can you assign different team members to different parts of the workflow process? And let me explain what I'm thinking. I know in a lot of real estate organizations, they may have someone who's like a buyer's agent or someone who handles a specific part of the transaction. And if you have someone who's tasked with, maybe they only do a certain type of paperwork and they do that over and over again. Can you assign that role to them for different transactions?
Yeah, we actually take it a step further. So you do have the liberty to go ahead in and assign certain people to do things, right? So if you're creating a task to your TC or to your administrator, you're just on the fly, hey, Sally, would you get this done, right? Very easy to do. Now, Sally's only going to see the stuff and the files that are assigned to her. She's not going to see everything else. However, we've taken it a step further. So some companies are not diversified, but they're departmentalized out a little bit more, where they have a dedicated transaction coordinator, or they have a designated admin that's responsible for gathering documentation and things like that. So what we've done is we've created what's called task lists, right? So it's basically when a new file is created for a traditional file or a buyer file. These are all customizable task lists, right? So new traditional file or new listing is taken in, and then the agent is to do this, and then automatically as soon as that's done, the next task is assigned, but that one's assigned to the TC, the transaction coordinator, and then she's responsible for the next 4 or 5 tasks, and then as soon as that one's done, then it triggers the agent, hey, you got to follow up and get this. So that's all customizable based upon roles, right? So again, you're automating that whole system, but the agents have to sit down and they have to think about their process, right? So I get a new lead in, then what, right? All right, I get I do the follow-up call, then what, right? I get the documentation signed, then what? They have to think about their business, right? In order to create a system, we have to know how we're running our business. So the tasking and the automation and making sure that other people are doing things and the whole file is being touched by everybody is 100% doable. It's very easy to set up as well. So and the owners of the accounts or the brokers can set rules and limitations on those people, making sure that they're only seeing and working on the files and tasks that they're supposed to, so they're not getting lost in all this other stuff. So.
Yeah, and this goes to accountability, and I think that this is really important because one of the big growth areas that I've been seeing with a lot of agents is the use of virtual assistants, remote employees, virtual teams, and these are folks where because they're not in an office necessarily, it makes it more difficult to track accountability. And then I think in other cases, right, if perhaps if an agent is outsourcing, there are issues about security as well. And so, it sounds like you're saying that, like, if you have people who are working remotely and virtually, you can really take a lot of these trust factors and accountability factors into account, right?
Sure. Yeah. I'm actually really happy that you hit on this because, virtual assistants are really awesome. I have virtual assistants who are on our system all across the country and all across the world, actually, over in Philippines and China and India and here. And we have agents who have their TC or their VAs on the West Coast, and they work in the East Coast. So, yes, our system totally does that. But as the admin, or as the person who's hiring the VA, they can see every file that they're assigned to. Speaking of the VA, they can see all the tasks that are assigned to them. They can see their productivity. So it's time-stamping what they're doing as they're working on your files, right? So you can monitor everything that they're doing from one quick view, right? So you can make sure that they're doing this, right? You're notified if tasks are overdue for them and things like that. So keeping them accountable is really important, right? Making sure that you're paying them and what you're paying for them is actually getting done. So it's really easy to monitor that, to set that up. But at the same time, as the main user, you can limit those permissions. So you can ensure that they can't delete files, or they can't do this, or they can't do this. They can only do this, this, and this. So that's really customizable or flexible as far as how comfortable you are with your VA and what you want them to do. If at any point you decide to get rid of that VA, it's very easy just to go on and say, from full access, I'm going to give them no access, right? What that does is that opens up that seat again where you can fill it with a new person, but you're not deleting that person out of the system. They just can't log into it because you still want to keep records and document that they did this and this and this and this for your audit trails and things like that. So it's really easy to work with VAs with our system. We're in a digital age. It's pretty common, people working from home and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, very, very easy to do and outsource a lot of that work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, and it sounds like if you're able to swap seats around, you're able to move people in and out of the system pretty easily also, which that sounds like that could be a big benefit as well.
Most definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Well, now, in addition to, it sounds like the system has automatic escalation of issues, and I think that's giant. I don't think that can be overstated enough, because when someone fails at a task or they're running seriously behind, I think the human being's natural instinct is to try and cover it up or at least not make a big deal out of it, and so having that escalation in place is, I think, giant. But in addition to that, you also provide a lot of administrative reports and reporting tools, right, to help the leaders see if their team members are all contributing effectively? Yeah,
for sure. One thing that I mentioned this earlier, a differentiating factor between us and some other programs out there, any piece of information that you enter into the system, whether it's a field, whether it's an email, whether it's a task, a person, whatever, you have what's called custom searches or custom reports, right, which are going to be located in your navigation bar where you can just basically click on these custom searches and get to the data that you want to get to quickly, right? So we've given you all the flexibility in the world to filter out information, to sort information, and you create that report one time and you just save it to your dashboard, and that view's always there, right? And if you want to go back and edit it at a later time, you can do that as well. So anything that you put into our system, you can literally create a report. So if you're a really diverse and a really departmentalized office, I have some out there who have 100 agents or 200 agents. The broker can log in and he can say, I need to see all my buyer's agents. I need to see where they're at, when those deals are closing, and last actions. I need to see how many files I have in escrow. I need to see the revenue that's being generated versus expenses on these type of files that are closing this month. So you can get to just about any piece of information in our system that you would want to.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like with reporting, that's something that people kind of grow into over time, and I think that's good. They start,
of course. Yes.
Yeah, they start with the canned reports and then grow, into more custom stuff. One thing that I skipped over, and I want to come back to this also, is the communication aspect. Because again, especially if you're working with virtual employees, the system it lets you communicate with sellers. It lets you communicate with everybody who's involved in this transaction, right? So if you have virtual employees, you don't have to worry about them having to communicate with people that they may not even have contact info for. Does that sound accurate? It does. It handles all that for them?
Sure. Communication is so important, right, in today, but it seems like less and less people are getting on the phone, and they're texting, and they're sending multiple emails and things like that, right? But we want to eliminate a lot of that, right? So what we've done is with guest access, for instance, which is unlimited, your sellers would be considered guest access, where you need to keep them in the loop. So as you're working on a file, right, as far as doing tasks and adding notes and things like that, you're able to share that information with all of the people involved in the transaction on a guest access level. Obviously, the full access people would see that, but the guest access people, so your sellers. So instead of picking up the phone, sending a text, and emailing Sally's sellers, letting them know, hey, I just got this done, here's a little bit of feedback, this and that. Next thing you know, you're talking about soccer and 3 other things, and it takes you another 20 minutes to get back to task. The system can automatically do that. It allows them to log in and see what's going on in real time, right? And when we've interviewed some of these sellers, the professionalism that they thought that agent provided them with was far above what they had expected. They never knew how much stuff and how many things went into their real estate transaction, right? So they get the ability that they have the freedom and the liberty to know what's going on at any given moment is awesome. They can make comments in the system, which notifies you and the VA if you have a VA, and they can upload documents, so you're not chasing these people around. But keep in mind, as agents, you don't necessarily want to share everything, right? So you don't have to. It's up to you what you share and what you don't share with them, right? So that's a really great way to eliminate a lot of extra time spent, right? And it just simplifies the entire process. If that cuts out 2 hours a week for you, great, because it's cutting out a lot more time than that. But at the same time, not everybody's going to log into the system, so the system will email them automatically as well. So if you're putting in a note and you shared it, they can log in, they can see it, and the system will automatically notify them of what was done. So it's just eliminating all those extra steps.
Wonderful. Well, Randy, I want to take a quick break for a commercial. I want to thank you again. And let's take a quick commercial break, and then we will come back and kind of start to wrap things up. And so, again, this is Real Estate Coaching Radio, and we will be right back.
Is coaching right for you? And how can I guarantee it will work for me? Chances are you are asking yourself those questions right now. I'll answer those critical questions for you in just a moment. But first, let's be honest about something you may have always suspected. You've probably always known that the nation's top 1% of realtors, those millionaire agents you see on TV, they possess a secret knowledge that the other 99% of agents do not have. Where did they learn what they know? And more importantly, how did they learn how to put this closely guarded information into money-making action? It's simple. They have a coach. Not just any coach. The nation's mega millions, top 1% of the realtors know that in order to maintain their almost unfair advantage, that they must have their own personal coach. A proven, market-tested coach who has truly walked in their shoes. A coach who has worked with many of the nation's leading agents. At this point, you're probably ready to maybe try coaching. However, you don't want to be unfairly locked into a long-term ball and chain that coaching contracts can give you. It just makes sense that you should be able to try it before you buy it. Even more importantly, you want to have a coach who is the best of the best, not someone who is simply assigned to you or, even worse, has never sold real estate. Can you imagine? If this is you, I have something for you right now That is exactly what you have been looking for. For the next 48 hours, Tim and Julie Harris Real Estate Coaching is offering you a free coaching call. This is a real coaching call with a real Tim and Julie Harris coach. Now, while you were thinking about it, why don't you visit us online at freecoachingcallsforagents.com to get started. Once again, that is freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Now, let's be clear. This exclusive coaching opportunity is only available for the first 50 realtors who are stone cold serious about their real estate business and know that in order to succeed at the highest level, they must hire a coach. So don't wait any longer. Take action now and visit us again at freecoachingcallsforagents.com to schedule your free coaching call. Again, that's freecoachingcallsforagents.com. Thanks so much. See y'all soon.
And we are back. I'm Tim Ventura, filling in for Tim and Julie Harris. Welcome back to Casual Friday on Real Estate Coaching Radio. We are continuing our discussion of real estate transaction management systems with Randy Tobbe from RealtyCommander. So I'm going to bring Randy back in, and we're going to ask about paperlessness. Okay, Randy, are you with me?
I sure am.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I want to ask about going paperless because this is something that you've mentioned. I have a bunch of questions written down. We probably don't have enough time for all of them, but everybody wants to save trees, but we also want to make life easier for agents, and it sounds like RealtyCommander can help us at least get mostly paperless, if not completely. Does that sound accurate? Can you describe that a little bit for us?
Sure. So within our system, you have the ability to, first and foremost, upload your own documentation. So your own purchase agreements, addendums, disclosures, right? If you want to upload any of your documentation into the system there for yourself and for any of your staff members to have, you can do that. We do not provide any documentation, right? So we don't provide those documents. It's really up to you as far as what type of documents you want to put in the system. Now, when you have executed documents, right, so signed purchase agreements, disclosures, things like that, you can upload them into that file specifically, right? So they would be time-stamped who uploaded them, what they are. The system will ask you what type of document it is. It's filed accordingly. A check mark is marked next to your document checklist in that file, making sure that you have all of the documentation necessary. If you do need to send those documents out for e-signature, you can do that via DocuSign right now, and it's really easy. Basically, you just click on those documents, you send it out to the DocuSign portal for signatures, at which point they respond, and those documents are re-uploaded into that system file specific, and you're notified, right? Also, once those documents have been signed or whatever, and if you need to have your broker or somebody else sign off or approve those documents before you can move forward, it's really easy to select the documents and say send for approval. Now, the broker or the person who is signing off on those documents, they probably don't want to log into another system, and we get that. So what we've done is we've made that process very easy. So when individuals are approving documents, they can actually do that from their phone, from their computer. They never have to log in. All they have to do is open that email, look at the documents, and mark accept, reject, or reject with reason, right? At real time, that's putting it into the audit trail or the activity log. You're notified that this person has signed off on the documents and you're ready to move forward, or they've been rejected for this reason, right? So the idea is really to keep all of your documentation in one place, right? So you're not going to Dropbox for this and Outlook for this. Everything is filed. Your multiple versions, your copies, everything is within that file specifically. And again, it's time-stamped. It's sourced. So who did what, why, right? All of that is held within the system. Ultimately, you really don't need a piece of paper, right? And with that guest access, the ability that those sellers can upload documents. So if they get something in the mail they don't understand, they could literally take a picture of it and upload it right into the system, at which point you'd be notified. So get rid of all the messy paperwork. That is for sure, and that we do cover 100%.
Oh, wonderful. Now, does the DocuSign documents that you guys are integrated with, do those also get stored in the system?
They do, yeah. So, there's no all that we have with DocuSign is an integration, so our system works well with it, right? So those two kind of connect. The signature part is obviously proprietary to DocuSign. So if you have a document within the Commander platform for Sally Sellers on 123 Main Street, and you want to send those 5 documents out, you just click on the documents and say send for e-signature, at which point it goes through DocuSign's portal out to those individuals. When they send them back, they come back through DocuSign's portal automatically into our system.
Oh, okay. So it is. We're taking this and making it, mostly, if not completely, paperless. Then, well, now with these advantages, I mean, we've gone through the workflow for this. Pretty much every aspect of the workflow for the transaction can be improved. How much faster can an agent close a transaction, or maybe the way to ask it is how many more transactions can they handle using this system?
You could probably triple or as an individual agent with no assistance or anything, you could very well easily double your volume. That is for sure. That is proven. I have testimonials and people who I've seen do this firsthand. Now, when you have a team, literally the sky is the limit. If you're departmentalized, where you have, somebody who's responsible for your documents and your transaction coordinator and an assistant. I mean, I've seen individual agents go from, just a little, been in the business 7-8 years, wound up doing about 20-some deals a year is kind of what she averaged. Now her goal is over 65 deals to do this year. Right, so she almost doubled her business the first year of when working with us. She's been able to hire more people now, and she's actually bringing on a buyer's agent. So, it's really up to, again, dedication and commitment, right, as far as what you're willing to do. But we want to see these people succeed. There's really startling numbers out there. Reading like the NAR report, less than 5% of the realtors out there today, right, make over $250,000. This is crazy, right, in my eyes. Here is an agent who literally has lots and lots of homes to pick from, right? There's lots of technology. So why aren't they achieving this? And when I've interviewed some really successful agents, it comes down to like 2 things. One, systematize, right? Automate that process. Write everything down and refine that process. Continue to refine your automation and your system that will allow you to go out and do what you do best. Outsource the rest. Do what you do best. Well,
I've spent a lot of time researching this, especially lately, and it seems like because this is a newer trend, I think it's kind of sneaking up on people. I certainly felt like that. I mean, I've seen transaction tools they've been out there for a while, but I think now that they're becoming more prevalent, the thing that seems like it's been kind of sneaking up on us is this idea of transaction management providing a big competitive advantage. And I'm wondering, do you think that this is something, I mean, in your opinion, do you think this is kind of a game changer for the industry in terms of competitive advantage?
Yeah, unquestionably. So, again, in that same startling NAR report that I read, one of the number one things that agents and brokers plan on implementing in 2014 and 2015 is a transaction management platform, an all-encompassing one, right? And less than 10% of the people who were pooled even have a transaction management system. So the fact that getting a transaction management system is probably one of the most vital systems, right? Technology is advancing, and if you're not going to go digital and paperless and automate the system, you're kind of going to be left behind by the early adapters who are, right? And it doesn't matter how old you are, but, to automate your system is really important, right? This is about high output, and that's really what we focus on, right? Being from the Motor City here, Henry Ford built the assembly line. He couldn't have just built all those cars himself, right? Ford Motor Company would never be the company it is today. He perfected the systems in the assembly line, right, and plugged people in so that they were able to do high output, duplicatable, and scalable, right? So that's kind of what we're focusing in on is helping these agents do just that, right? It's just automate this process, you guys. If you got to pay somebody $30,000 a year to be your TC, and you're able to double or quadruple or who knows what your business next year, that's money well spent on a system, if you ask me. Again, coming back to that value, if it frees up time, it allows you to do more, whatever it is. But, we got to get into systems, and real estate is finally starting to catch up with everything else that has already been systematized.
Yeah, and in terms of the NAR report that you just described, and in terms of the research that I've done, it sounds like this could almost lead to, there being haves and have-nots in this new market based on what they're able to process. It sounds like it could be that much of a game changer.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, as individuals, we can only do so much, right? And without some type of schedule and some type of system, we reach a limit that we can't get past. But those who, are agile in their thinking and they implement those systems, it's the haves and the have-nots. I want to see all of our clients. I want to have 90% of my clients who are making at least $150,000 a year, period, right? That's success in my eyes.
Well, Randy, on that note, we're almost out of time for today. I want to thank you again very much for joining us. This has been incredibly educational and enlightening, and I think that this is going to definitely give the audience a better view of real estate transaction management. And again, if they want to learn more about this, they can visit you online at RealtyCommander.com. Do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I really don't. I just, again, just as agents that are on today's call, just think about your transactions. Think about how you manage them, right? Like what it is that you're doing. Start thinking about your business and how you could really just knock the socks off of it, right, through implementing systems, right, whether that's recruiting or outsourcing or using a system like RealtyCommander. All the successful agents that I talked to today that are making good money and that are achieving their goals every year and surpassing them, they all do this, right? They work on their systems and choose the path of least resistance, right? So, you guys all are capable of achieving your goals. You're all able to double or quadruple your business, right? We need to blow that number away, that 5% of people are making $250,000. We need that number to be like 15 or 20. And I think through systems and I think through technology today, I think that's achievable. So, people on today's call are early adapters, and hats off to you guys for taking the time out of your day, because, you guys are the people who are going to make a difference, and you're going to be the ones who get us to that number that we need to be. So thank you guys all for being on this call for sure.
Well, and Randy, thank you again for joining us. Okay, this has been Tim Ventura filling in for Tim and Julie Harris on Casual Friday, and we continued our discussion of real estate transaction management. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. It's been a very enlightening show. And again, that was RealtyCommander.com if you want to learn more about that product. Now, if you want to schedule a free coaching call, I am on the roster hiding at the very bottom of the page at freecoachingcallsforagents.com. So again, take a few moments and check out freecoachingcallsforagents.com as well. Thank you again, and everyone, I will talk to you next week.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows, and until next time, thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.